Now I want to talk about the Revolve tool. Revolve is just that. You're taking a sketch, a shape, a section, whatever you want to call it, and revolving it around an axis. So to find Revolve, I'm going to hit the little arrow down under the extrude and select Revolve. So the section, what am I revolving? I'm going to pick this sketch. Now remember, when I pick my sketch, I want to have my selection intent set correctly. So in this case, I'm just going to say feature curves. So it's going to pick the whole sketch. Next thing I want to do is specify my vector. I'm going to pick my, as you can see, z-axis. When I pick a vector, it's also going to, in this case, infer that that is the true axis of rotation. I can specify a different point to be my axis of rotation as well. So it can be an offset point from the vector. So you may have a tooling direction that you have to use and just simply a point as a reference for the rotation vector. Now, the way this works is off of my sketch, I have my 0, 3, 60 start and end for my revolve. So as you can see, if I go in the opposite direction from the start, it's a negative value. If I go in the same direction for my start and end, you'll see it's a positive value. So I'm going from 16 to 48 in this case. So in this case, if I just bring back, you'll see a negative value. You also have various settings here. So I can specify until selected. Maybe I want that to come down to this plane. So now it'll come down and go to this plane. In this case, because I am using a plane, you'll see multiple intersections found. Intersection closest to the user selection used. Okay, so it's telling you that there's a potential for this to find an intersection here. There's a potential to find an intersection there. You can come over here and specify, like I said, value until selected. If I go back to value, it's just going to allow me to enter in that value until selected. Just leave it where it's at. And it's using the nearest intersection for that value on that plane. As I scroll down, you'll notice I have several other options as well. I have Boolean options. Booleans are what you can do with multiple volumes in shared space. We also have offset options. If I click on offset, you'll notice I can go into two-sided. And what this allows me to do is give a thickness to that shape. So you'll notice once again, at the start, if I go in, it's a negative value. At the end, if I go out, it's a positive value. If I look under settings, you'll see I have a body type set to solid. If I change this to sheet, you'll notice that the offsets go away and it's not valid for trimming up to a plane. So I would have to change this and just say value in order to properly use a sheet. You'll see the first option, two-sided, is not set correctly. So it does not like a two-sided because when I'm doing an offset, I am by nature creating a solid. When I'm switching it to sheet, basically a sheet is a zero thickness entity. It cannot be a solid. So you're going to end up with conflicts like this in the system. So you'd have to go back in, change things and say none, go to sheet. Now you'll see everything works just fine. Change my value, make sure that it's trimming up to the right location, however you want to go about doing this. But if it's set to sheet body, you cannot have an offset value because, again, the offset by nature has to create a solid. So if I select OK now, I'll just have a zero thickness shape. If I change this back to solid, I'll have an actual volume for my revolve.